The 90s was truly a huge leap forward in technology, specifically in graphics and 3D acceleration. Doom back in 1993 was a technical marvel, but the game engine was still technically two-dimensional. The next step in technology for gaming was Quake. Quake was an incredible feat, being the most efficient way of rendering polygons, like, ever. But id Software were not the only people to make something groundbreaking. Gabe Newell dropped out of Harvard University to work at Microsoft, later stating he learned more at Microsoft than he ever did at Harvard University. Then Gabe Newell and Mike Harrington licensed the Quake engine from id Software, heavily modified it, and made a groundbreaking new engine for a video game. Thusly, Gold Source was born. Early work began making a prototype for a new video game using this engine. Half-Life was eventually born out of this. There have been few video games to be released that have such an impact on the gaming industry than Half-Life. Half-Life is perhaps one of the most important video games ever released. Half-Life is truly one of the most groundbreaking games ever made, and in my eyes, still holds up 20 years later. Why does Half-Life make the cut in so many mentions for greatest games ever made? Honestly, it's self-explanatory. If you're a 30-year-old boomer watching this, fantasizing about the glory days of PC gaming, don't worry, I'm going to elaborate on why this game was a damn technical marvel. Now, if you're a Zoomer watching this and have no clue what this game is, maybe you came across my channel with that Fortnite video I made a while back. It's fine. This game may look ugly, but some of the worst looking games can be much better than you'd think. I know you just want to play Fortnite and Minecraft and not think about any other games, but trust me, sit down and listen to me talk about this game. This game is so good. I will leave spoiler warnings because these games are experiences that will change you. Without further ado, I'm Skeptical Rowan, and this is Half-Life.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel.
Half-Life begins with you on a tram. Right off the bat, you're given a first-hand look at the place you're at, the Black Mesa Research Facility. With some opening credits and a few text blurbs, you are told who you are. You are 27-year-old MIT graduate, a theoretical physicist. You are Gordon Freeman, a silent protagonist you can shape to your image. You're transported to the Anomalous Materials Laboratory, where you happen to be running late for work after getting the Hazardous Environment Suit, or HEV suit. You're sent to the test chamber to work with highly unstable energy crystals and anti-mass spectrometers. You know, just your typical 9-to-5 job. But the experiment goes horribly wrong, causing a resonance cascade. What's a resonance cascade, you might be asking? Well, it's this.
Gordon, get away from the shutting down. No. Attempt to shut down. It's not. It's not shutting down. It's not.
After unleashing hell into Black Mesa, you're left running scared from the aliens that now inhabit the facility. Your goal is to make it to the surface and get help. After fighting off of some of the alien forces from the border world known as Zen, the military eventually shows up, but their intentions are anything but good. In fact, it's pretty fucked up what they're doing. The military was sent in to clean up the mess that Black Mesa caused. Not only are you fighting alien forces from Zen, you're fighting a fuck ton of combat-trained professionals. Your mission now is to not die and stop this resonance resonance cascade. You eventually make it to the Lambda complex throughout many different levels and areas, and teleport to Zen, where you find the big bad monster who is telling these alien bastards to kill you. But before you die alongside this thing, a mysterious man saves you that has been following you throughout the course of the game. He tells you that the work you've done so far has impressed him, and that you are a valuable asset. He offers you a choice on whether or not you want to take a job offer. If you accept, you're teleported to God knows where. If you deny his offer, well, he kills you. The story of Half-Life is rather simple. It's a lot like Doom, where a portal opens to another dimension where the entities from that dimension invade and attack you. The story isn't entirely unique. Oh well, at least the ending is surprisingly strange, and the G-Man's breathing is creepy and it feels like he's whispering into your ears. But Half-Life's story is told in a unique and interesting way. There are no cutscenes in this game. The story is told in a first-person view at all times. You can interact with NPCs and have one-sided conversations, but this is a valuable asset. The story isn't told a lot through environmental decals and such in subtext. I love the way the story is told here. Not many games nowadays do this type of storytelling. Most games' stories are told in the same boring, monotonous way, by stopping you arbitrarily to show you a cutscene. Half-Life's way of storytelling was mostly forgotten in the years gone by, and it's still superior than you'd initially think. It doesn't take you out of the experience, it keeps your immersion. This is why Gordon Freeman is such a great vessel for the player, because you can shape him to your image. What type of player are you? A scared scientist? A proficient warrior? A bloodthirsty psychopath? Yes, he is any and or all of these things because Valve accounted for it. You are meant to make your own choices as a character, and that is why the game's narrative works so well. You can kill almost everybody you see, and not only will the game accept it, but there may be short-term benefits for doing this. While I'm not an asshole and I don't kill somebody for my own benefit unless it's self-defense, my Gordon Freeman is a terrified scientist, but also a skeptical ass, much like myself. Gordon Freeman is me, and that's why I can make Gordon do in a situation as what I would do. Which is why I consider the way the story is told here is absolutely timeless. It may seem primitive today, but back then this was unheard of. Most shooters before Half-Life had characters that never shut the hell up. Me personally, I don't like Duke Nukem or Lo Wang. They're so annoying. Silent protagonists are perfect to me, and they leave so many holes for you to fill in. The game gives you the basics. A blank slate, now it's time to draw and paint that slate however you choose. I love this design philosophy. Games that let you shape a character to your image will always go down in my book as a textbook example on how to write a video game story. One thing that I wanted to be sure to point out was this game's use of its atmosphere. Now, the sound designers for this game did an outstanding job. Kelly Bailey did the music for this game, and his work is really good. Half-Life has a soundtrack unlike anything I've ever heard in a video game. It's minimalistic to the sense that it's not constantly playing in the background, but several songs in this game have their own impact, songs that literally echo in your ears after something awful has happened. This game isn't just ambient music to ease you into the atmosphere. There are plenty of other tracks that get you ready to kick some ass. For example, or songs that just tell you that the fight you're taking in is bigger than you expected. The atmosphere in the levels makes you feel alone, scared, and outnumbered. It's great. Is it surprising a game can pull off a fantastic atmosphere with these graphics? I love this game's use of dark corridors. It nails them down to a T, sometimes your flashlight being your only source of power through this giant facility. The surface may be bright, but it's dangerous out there. Military patrols and other monsters waiting to jump you. The Zen levels may be commended for being bad in design, and while we'll talk about that a bit later, the atmosphere is fantastic. I do wish there was some more music tracks here in Zen, because some creepy alien sounding music would have worked really well. Let me demonstrate. Or this. Zen is gross. It feels disgusting when you're there. Everything feels slimy and there are strange liquids. Poor souls that succumb to the treachery of this horrible place. These aliens that you've been fighting are slaves being controlled. Zen may be bad in design, but fuck me if I said the atmosphere and everything else wasn't really well designed. The game is dripping with atmosphere all over and it's really well designed. However, the gameplay is not that fantastic. Sure, the game is fun to play, but sometimes the frustrating design can get to you. The shooting is your standard hit-scan combat where you and your enemies can hit you and do a lot of damage insanely quickly. Fighting the military in this game is it's more about killing them as fast as possible than actually coming up with battle plans. Their numbers overwhelm you and that shit gets annoying. Their attacks are impossible to dodge, they lob grenades at you often, and that gets annoying. Fighting the alien enemies are pretty fun and more fair than the fucking military soldiers. I love fighting the Vortigons, or the slave aliens. Their electrical attack can be avoided by using cover, and they give enough time for you to make your way to cover or put some distance between yourself and them. While fighting them is fun, enemies don't really react to being shot. Your weapons pack no punch, and even though their good sound effects are just oh Oh my god, this game, hang on. I need to go wash the sweat off my face. Anyways, Half-Life may have shooting that's a little bland. The magnificent pacing of the campaign more than makes up for this lackluster shooting. The game starts off slow, then builds up, then kicks off with an action-packed climax, then slows down and dies off at the end of the game. It's fantastic. This game will be remembered for its pacing. However, it will not be remembered for the controls, which are slippery and they're not bad, they're just jank as fuck. Gordon's movement speed and momentum is not ideal for platforming, especially not for walking fine lines. There is way too much platforming in this game. The platforming is heavily featured in these levels, and it might be the worst thing about this game. It's not the worst platforming. You can hold the shift key to slow Gordon down or use the use key to make him slow, and this works pretty well. But don't think the platforming is entirely bad. Sometimes it's pretty fun. Maybe that's just my fetish for first-person platforming. Yeah, it's my fetish for first-person platforming. Also, some of the physics in this game are just janky as shit, especially the grenade physics. Okay, Quake had more realistic grenade physics than this. Even Quake 2, which came out in 1997. But don't let that excuse this game. It's not bad. There's just too much falling damage though. Seriously, falling down a short distance can knock an enormous chunk of your health off. Oh yeah, the weapons in this game are pretty unique. The first weapon you get is going to be your weapon of choice for saving ammo, the crowbar. The crowbar is uniquely clad in red paint and perfectly suitable for busting down crates and alien skulls. It's my weapon of choice against small vermin, wasps, sexual predators, Peppa Pig, and that monster under my bed. I mean, the crowbar is my solution to everything. Next up is the Glock. The Glock is good for saving 9mm ammunition, and it's also pretty accurate. The Colt Python, which is a great, powerful, satisfying weapon, great for medium range and can put low-level enemies down in 1 or 2 shots. The MP5 is the second 9mm option. It's less accurate than the Glock, but it does more damage with a fire rate. Great for mid-range encounters. The SPAS 12 shotgun is a little weird, maybe the size of the model.
Nice fucking model!
Seriously, I've seen a Franke SPAS 12 and this shotgun is not this small. Still, a great shotgun, holds 8 shells, and great against Vortigaunts and Marines. Secondary fire shoots 2 shells at once on a single-barreled shotgun, which is weird. Never mind. The crossbow is fantastic. Your sniping option holds 5 bullets, fire rate is fast, conserve the ammo because you'll need it for some of the more big, bad, annoying enemies. The rocket launcher is a laser guided one. It's great fun to use when it actually fucking works. The Tau Cannon, or Gauss Gun if you're a fucking weirdo, is a great powerful energy weapon. It's useful against everything, but the Gluon Gun is better. The Gluon Gun shreds asshole. This weapon will bend enemies over and turn their asshole into no man's land. The Gluon Gun eats up cell ammo, but who cares? Use it against the really big enemies. You get this weapon late game, so it's pretty limited. Your explosive options are grenades, which are clunky to use, trip mines, which are pretty situational, but a nice option, remote bombs, because why not? They're good for tossing around corners and baiting enemies out and blowing them up. The throwable snarks are interesting. You throw them and they run at enemies and explode into them, but be careful because they might run into you and explode. The Hive Hand is a weapon I never use. I seriously never use it because I never run out of ammo in this fucking game because I play smart. Overall, I love the weapons. They're cool. Gameplay is pretty good in Half-Life, despite its few blemishes. Oh man, the level design is superb. Well, the level design may not make sense from a realistic standpoint, but fuck realism. Who cares about realism in video games? The level design is interesting. That's all that matters. The levels in this game are cool. Like, really cool. The game starts off slow and then picks up to be awesome. Lots of verticality in these levels. Good stuff. But when you get about an hour into the game, you're hit with a level that is a huge curveball. Blast Pit. This level puts you in some truly grandiose rooms with a cool green glow to them. But when you get inside this rocket testing facility, there's an injured scientist, and his death sound is... Stop?
Stop!
But then, when you get into the next room, ah! We're getting attacked by hentai monster! This giant peck beast thing drags the scientist out with telekinesis?
Fucking roll!
I know this was a limitation, but they should have fixed this by making the animations and the scripting a bit slower or faster. Like, really? But the whole level is you trying to power up this rocket engine with fuel and shit. Then you test that same rocket engine on the fucking peck beast. Good luck, dick. Power up. Good. Short and sweet. Power up then leads into... fuck. On a rail. On a rail goes on a little too long, and it took almost 30 minutes to play through this nightmare. I mean, about halfway through I was completely tired.
It's time to stop!
Then in the next chapter, you're given the crossbow, and then it's taken away from you the transition to Act 2. This transition is very abrupt and fucks up your weapon progression. Residue processing is your classic conveyor belt level from the 90s. I like it. It's a bit of a slap at points. Surface tension is the real highlight of the game. Its length is a little too long. It even drags on to the point of exhaustion, but it's pretty damn awesome. Lots of fun, but also bullshit combat encounters here. But there are a few levels that stick out like a sore thumb. As I said, Zen is great thematically, and I was blown out of the park with the concept of it, but Zen is perhaps the most infuriating part of the game. Zen has way too much platforming and placing of all these bullshit enemies that are too hard to hit and have way too much health for their own good, but also spamming them in locations where you won't have the space to maneuver because honestly, fuck this game's platforming. You take too much falling damage and these platforming bits can send you down into nothingness, killing you instantly. Yeah, not fun. Zen has great verticality, but that is overshadowed by the frustrating design. The wonky gravity here is not cool as well. Fuck Zen. A few things I wanted to add about this game was that you should not play with the HD models. I feel like they take away from the experience too much. The weapons look nice at least. I like the HD models, but I felt like they were a step away from how Valve intended this game to be experienced. Some of the sounds in this game are missing. Like, the revolver is missing reloading sounds. It has like one in the non-HD models and no sound at all in the HD model. I love how the areas have seamless transitioning. Load times are quick, and levels are often huge interconnected zones you can travel back and forth between, making the game feel more like a cohesive world. This is the early concept of what games like Dark Souls would do. What?
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! You're not
shit!
talking about Dark Souls!
Stop! Oh, what
God,
the fuck? I'm
get
sorry!
down on the fucking ground!
Shit!
Get the
Stop!
taser!
Oh, what the
Get
fuck?
the
I'm
fucking
sorry!
taser!
Sorry! I forgot. I'm not supposed to talk about Dark Souls after those videos. Where was I? Yes, I was talking about the transitions. So I'm not going to compare anything to Dark Souls for the rest of my time here. After I made those videos, my benefactors told me to never talk about Dark Souls if I was comparing something to it. Anyways, these transitions are pretty much seamless. However, if they made the transitions more seamless than they already did, it would be even better. Half-Life was a good game. It may not be as important as Doom, but it was still pretty important. I bet you that a majority of games you play now still have a little bit of Half-Life's DNA in there, for better or worse. Now, if you came into this video not knowing a thing about Half-Life, then it's okay, because you know now. Half-Life is one of the best first-person shooters ever made. You kids may not be accepting of that with your bullshit Call of Duty and stop-and-pop shooters. Half-Life isn't that kind of game. It's actually good. The story is good, the gameplay is solid, the atmosphere, the level design, everything about this game is fucking top notch. I'm not giving this game a review score. You come up with one on your own based on my judgments. Half-Life may not be perfect, and I may not like all of this game, but I respect the living hell out of it for what it has done for the industry. Be sure you like, subscribe if you're already subscribed, click the bell for notifications, go follow me on Instagram, go join my Discord server, follow me on Steam or whatever. Thank you all for watching this video. This has been Skeptical Rowan, wishing you a fantastic night. Peace the fuck out.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh, or rather in the hazard suit. I took the liberty of relieving you of your weapons. Most of them were government property. As for the suit, I think you've earned it. The border world, then, is in our control for the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed. That's why I'm here, Mr. Freeman. I have recommended your services to my employers, and they have authorized me to offer you a job. They agree with me that you have limitless potential. You've proved yourself a decisive man, so I don't expect you'll have any trouble deciding what to do. If you're interested, just step into the portal, and I will take that as a yes. Otherwise, well, I can offer you a battle you have no chance of winning. Rather an anticlimax after what you've just survived. Time to choose. Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.